Welcome back to Card Knock Life Plays. I have come across a Nahiri company deck, which is basically the green-white company deck, Vizier company deck, splashing red for a couple of things. Magus of the Moon for one, which is great Chord target and collected company target for that matter, as well as Simian Spirit Guide, which helps us to race out our combo even faster. We can combo off now as early as turn 2. But also we've got Nahiri the Harbinger, with the Emrakul package. So Nahiri is a great way to kind of tutor out the last piece of your combo if you have that assembled all but one. But even better is Emrakul the Aeons Torn, which is basically a game ender when that hits the table. Nahiri also digs for combo pieces and just gives you some longevity in a deck that otherwise could be drawing a lot of duds on the top deck if your opponent has sufficiently controlled your comboing off in early turns. And then also gives you some removal. This deck tends to not play any removal main deck. In fact, we've completely eschewed the Fiend Hunter in this one as well. Now, I've been heralding the green-white company deck as one of my favorite decks in the format and one of the most deceivingly competitive decks in the format. I really do believe it is. But this one right here basically focuses more on comboing off in one of the two ways that it has. And that's evident in the 4 Vizier of Remedies played in the main deck, and 4 Devoted Druid, and 3 Duskwatch Recruiter. So we don't do the Walking Ballista plan, we do the Rhonas plan on this one. But all the same, the company is Devoted Druid, Vizier of Remedies, Duskwatch Recruiter to find your finisher, your mana sink. But also we've got an option to go Kessig Wolf Run with all our mana too in this version, because now we have red. Obviously, Magus of the Moon is pretty good. Right now, there are a lot of Blood Moon strategies kind of popping up because of the greedy mana bases that we're running. In my most recent experiences with with Magic Online, I haven't seen a lot of decks that are really stunted by Blood Moon effects. And so I think I'm comfortable just playing one in the main and one in the side for this, and then having those kind of oops, I win moments when you happen to get the Chord with enough mana to find a Magus or collected company into one. Let's look at the sideboard here. We have Magus of the Moon in the sideboard. Like I said, we need another option when we do have those good matchups for Blood Moon effects. But also, Burrenton Forge-Tender is one of those cards that I just will not do without in these styles of decks, because Anger of the Gods is just so backbreaking against you. This is a good way to Chord for 4, or X equals 1, I should say, but 4 total mana, and respond to a red Wrath effect to save all of your creatures. But not to mention, it kind of functions as sort of like a Spellskite against Lightning Bolt decks when you are hoping to assemble your Vizier and Devoted Druid combo. We need some paths, obviously, because we don't have any removal in the main deck. If there's a deck that we're really going to struggle against, now we're going to need to cut some of our main deck pieces to put some removal in. We've also got Rest in Peace, Stony Silence, typical white inclusions for obvious reasons. I won't go into that. Eidolon of Rhetoric is very good against Storm, and I can't say enough about this guy. I think he's really, really like multi-functional for a lot of matchups as well. Against Burn, I like to board him in, as he's a great blocker for the Burn creatures, but also slows them way down. Burn decks just want to race the damage to your dome, and Eidolon of the Rhetoric will cause them to play quite differently, and it makes it much harder for them to sort of plan out what they're going to stockpile and be prepared to hit you with, especially when those cards involve like skull cracks and things like that. So it's definitely an interesting card to run. Qasali Pridemage, obviously we need some answer to artifacts and enchantments. Debatably, Reclamation Sage is better in some cases because you can Chord for Reclamation Sage and get the effect immediately, but this guy's got a little bit more upside as an aggressive creature too. Voice of Resurgence. I love Voice, not so much as an aggressive creature, but as a defensive creature, as it can block attacking burn creatures and then leave another blocker behind. Or it can be sacrificed when Liliana minus 2s. You get the Elemental, you play a couple of creatures, maybe one of those creatures is a Noble Hierarch, and you can beat down that Liliana in the next turn. Otherwise, it's just a great creature against control decks because they are forced to basically give you giant creature tokens whenever they counter your spells. Spellskite, don't need to talk about him. I think he's been a staple in Modern for some time, especially in these style of decks. Obviously an easy target for Collected Company or Chord, for that matter. And he's great. Tireless Tracker has become a staple in Modern now in green creature-based decks. Gives you some long game against some kind of grindy matchups. all of these fetch lands here, we've got 8 of them, will allow for quite a bit of card drawing or clue creation with your Tireless Tracker. So this deck, I should credit the designer here. This one popped up in a competitive Modern League and went 5-0 by Artem Kutin. And I haven't seen a ton like this recently, though there were some Nahiri Kiki Chord versions popping up previously. Now we've got this one that runs the Vizier combo deck, or Vizier combo, excuse me. So, like I said, quite a bit different than the green-white version that I've been playing a lot. And what I'm missing out of this one is many more of the silver bullet pieces in the main deck, which also allows for fewer of them to be running the sideboard. So we are just very, very laser focused on comboing out in our main deck, and then we've got some backup plans and just oops I win with Magus, or just beat down via Rhonas is actually a pretty good beater in the main. But we have a few answers in the side that really do trump a lot of strategies. Obviously, Rest in Peace is kind of like an auto win against Dredge, and Stony Silence is very, very good against Affinity. But we don't have as much flexibility to run like an extra Qasali or a Reclamation Sage in the event that we need more artifact and enchantment removal. So I worry that this makes us a little bit worse against the kind of rando decks that you seem to face once in a while, as we are, you know, this is a good deck to take to maybe more of a high level competitive Modern event, because you aren't going to see the random Enchantress decks popping up where you're going to need your extra copies of Qasali Pridemage, that kind of thing where you've got just those oddball decks. So we're going to give it a shot. Before I naysay it too much, we're going to play it a few times and see how it actually stands up in the meta. Anyways, thanks for watching.